Tonight, the $2 trillion sell.
We have to get this right.
The White House ready to take the show on the road, kicking off a tour to promote the COVID relief plan as checks hit Americans' bank accounts. And Republicans head to the southern border. Democrats now calling it,
"This is a humanitarian challenge."
Amid a surge of migrants heading for the border, including families and children making the crossing alone.
I think we see faith-based organizations as an important partner.
Plus,
She is
Perino,
the Fox News co-anchor and former White House press secretary on faith and her new book. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. On the campaign trail to promote the American Rescue Plan, welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup. Well, the nearly $2 trillion COVID relief package made its way through Washington. Now comes selling it to the American public as top officials in the Biden White House hit the road, fanning out across the country this week. CBN White House correspondent Eric Phillips has tonight's top story. Eric?
John, the White House is calling this the Help is Here tour. And the president is saying this gigantic rescue plan is meant to get shots in arms and money in pockets. So important, he says, that he's named a czar to oversee the administration of the process. That person, Gene Sperling, a veteran of the Clinton and Obama administrations.
Gene will be on the phone with mayors and governors, red states, blue states. A source of constant communication, a source of guidance and support, and above all, a source of accountability for all of us to get the job done.
The president in Washington preparing for a week that will see him, Vice President Harris, and their spouses crisscrossing the country, highlighting the plan's benefits.
Today, I'm here to tell you, with the American Rescue Plan, help is here.
The administration aware that Republicans who oppose the bill are waiting to pounce on any missteps.
Call this COVID relief is really false advertising. Only 9% of the money actually goes to defeating the virus.
That may fall on deaf ears of Americans seeing the $1,400 checks hitting their bank accounts.
I couldn't even believe that I got a huge help for my household.
While that's good timing, health officials worry the arrival of warmer spring weather could mean some lowering their guard when it comes to distancing. The COVID response team highlighting the impact the American Rescue Plan will have on vaccine distribution.
Well, first, it means that vaccines will continue to be free to you.
One thing the law does not address, a moral dilemma for some believers, a question I posed to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
When it comes to the vaccine, the administration is saying, hey, get vaccinated as soon as you can with the vaccine that's available to you first.
Yeah.
But what do you say to a significant segment of the population that has a moral problem with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because the company uses cells from aborted fetal tissue in its manufacturing process?
Well, I know that the Vatican has conveyed that all 3 vaccines are safe and effective, and I know that is a powerful authority for many who are close to their faith. But that is something that has also been conveyed by health and medical experts.
But there is still some vaccine hesitancy among evangelicals, a point that was drilled on in today's White House press briefing. Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying the administration is aware and concerned and has a plan.
Tomorrow, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins will be hosting an event with evangelical leaders to discuss the vaccine and how we can partner with them. Dr. Collins has appeared on the 700 Club. We also have done, of course, a range of engagements with different communities where there's vaccine hesitancy.
Now, just a clarification, this event that Psaki was referring to was a pre-planned interfaith event with leaders from all faiths meeting there in D.C. to encourage those who are believers to take the shot, not necessarily just an evangelical meeting. Of course, the president's goal was to get 100 million Americans vaccinated in his first 100 days in office. He is well on track to meet that goal and, in fact, exceeded. About 59 million Americans so far have been vaccinated. John.
Some good news there. Thanks, Eric. Well, speaking of vaccine hesitancy, several countries are halting the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine used predominantly in Europe over concerns about safety. Germany, France, and Italy have all suspended vaccinations using the drug following reports of blood clots. This as the World Health Organization and European safety regulators say there is no scientific evidence of a link between the AstraZeneca vaccine and recent deaths in Europe from blood clots. Well, on the home front, Republicans are slamming President Biden over his slow response at the U.S. southern border, dubbing it the Biden border crisis in a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso, Texas, with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and 12 Republican lawmakers. They blame the surge in migrants and the thousands of children now held in adult detention cells on the president's immigration policies.
But what's happening right now is beyond a crisis. It's a human heartbreak. And for our President of the United States to ignore it, not acknowledge it, or not do something to stop and save the lives, the health of this nation, the safety and security of Americans and our border is the job of the President. He is the one who created this, and he is the one who can fix it.
CBN's Eric Phillips asked the White House press secretary about the spiraling firestorm at last Friday's White House press briefing.
Considering the challenges at the southern border right now, what specifically can faith-based organizations do to help meet that challenge?
It's a great question. I mean, faith-based organizations are an incredibly important part of the NGO community, as you know, as it relates to addressing immigration in a humane way, and oftentimes helping to find helping to connect these unaccompanied children with safe and vetted homes or sponsor homes. That's a key role that they play. They also play a key role in working with local communities on addressing needs that come up, NGOs broadly, but many of them are faith-based as well. So, I think we see faith-based organizations as an important partner.
David Brody, CBN chief political analyst, joins us now. David, a dozen congressional Republicans, as we were just reporting, were at the border today calling it the Biden border crisis. Meanwhile, we learned FEMA's stepping in to help deal with a high level of unaccompanied minors. David, the agency's stated mission is to help before, during, and after disasters. If the Biden administration is unwilling to call this a crisis, should it be called a disaster?
Well, here's the bottom line. Call it whatever you want. FEMA's going to be on the scene, and it's a crisis, it's a disaster, and it's a few other things that conservatives, at least, would like to call it. You heard Kevin McCarthy call it even worse than a crisis. But look, I mean, we should not have expected anything less than what we're seeing now on the border. I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, we know about Joe Biden basically saying, come on in. And I say come on in because he said, we have a humane responsibility to take care of folks that want to see a better life. So that's number one. But number two, let's remember, one of his first actions, this Biden administration, was to go ahead and stop construction of a border wall. Well, you put it all together, and here you go. You've got a major crisis at the border.
David, the White House is fanning out across the country with its Help Us Here tour after passing that COVID rescue plan. If this has such strong public support, why the public campaign?
Well, it's a victory lap, John. I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, it's good PR for this administration, who got a big victory in the first 50-plus days or so of the Biden administration, number one. Number two, let's remember, from a media standpoint, there's always a media component to this. You can change the narrative. You've got the Cuomo thing going on. You've got, obviously, the issue with immigration at the border and a few other things that the Biden administration would not necessarily like to focus on right now publicly. And so you go on a tour like this, the media goes right along, and you're able to control the narrative a bit.
David, you just mentioned Cuomo. President Biden weighed in on the Cuomo scandal last night. We have yet to hear from Vice President Harris. Can you explain the dissonance between Biden's response and that of the New York congressional delegation, which is demanding Cuomo resign?
Well, I'd love to explain the dissonance in detail. Unfortunately, I really can't, other than he's not part of the New York delegation. So, from a federal standpoint, he'll stay above the fray, if you will, and let the Schumers and the AOCs and other people handle it. And so I guess there's some dissonance there. I will just simply say this, that Joe Biden talked every day on the campaign trail about being a moral clarity type voice in this country. And here's Andrew Cuomo, with, what is it now, 7 sexual harassment / assault allegations against him, not to mention, oh, I'm sorry, did I bury the lead about nursing home deaths? And not a peep out of Joe Biden. I'm not quite sure if that's moral clarity or immoral clarity from this president.
All right, we are out of time, so we'll have to leave it there. CBN's David Brody, thank you so much for your perspectives. Coming up, what the Vatican said today about gay unions and sin and what it might mean for Catholics going forward.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
It's what starts in Israel, then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Tonight, new news coming from the Vatican. The Catholic Church says priests cannot bless same-sex unions, calling them a sin. In a document personally approved by Pope Francis, the Vatican's doctrinal office said that all sexual relationships outside of marriage between a man and a woman, quote, cannot be recognized as objectively ordered to the revealed plans of God because God does not and cannot bless sin. Well, here with us now is Father Thomas Reese, a Jesuit Catholic priest and senior analyst at Religion News Service. Father Reese, thanks for coming back on Faith Nation. Did this document from the Vatican come as a surprise?
Not really. There's not a lot that's new in it. The churches, of course, said that marriage is a sacrament between a man and a woman that's open to life. And has never favored marriage as a sacrament between gay couples. Now, some people were saying, well, okay, we can't have a marriage as a sacrament. Maybe we could have a blessing, bless the couple after they got married somewhere else. So the Vatican Congregation for Doctrine of the Faith said a firm no to that idea, saying that no, can't have a marriage as a sacrament, and you cannot bless gay unions. You can bless gay individuals. You know, we bless sinners all the time, myself included. We're all sinners, and we get blessed by the church. But the gay unions cannot be blessed.
Father, in the past, the Pope has said that he doesn't judge LGBTQ individuals. So is this different? What's the distinguishing, discernible difference?
I think that this document makes very clear that the church wants to welcome gays into its community, wants to welcome them and urges people to treat them with respect and sensitivity. But at the same time that we welcome everyone into our church, we welcome them as sinners and call them to conversion, call them to walk with the Lord, to listen to his word and try and find out the way in which the Lord is leading us. So I think this is consistent with what Pope Francis has been saying. It's challenging, just as his teaching on social justice is challenging, just as his teaching on welcoming refugees and migrants is challenging. The Pope says things that many people don't like, whether they're on the left or the right.
So does this in some ways beat back some of the criticisms that he is too liberal?
I don't think so. I mean, it depends what you mean by liberal. I mean, the Pope doesn't fit the normal American liberal conservative distinction. The Pope is very liberal when it comes to welcoming refugees and migrants, in opposing capital punishment, in calling for universal health care, in calling for concern and for those who are poor, saying that health care is a right. All of these kinds of things, he would be considered very liberal. On the other hand, he's against abortion. He is opposed to gay marriage. So if you ask a person whether they're a Democrat or a Republican, you can pretty much guess what their positions are on all of these issues. But when you ask the Pope, he has positions that cross party lines. He doesn't care about parties. We're going to have to leave it there. Father Reese, we are out of time, and I guess it just depends on your perspective, as you were saying. Tom Reese, thank you so much for being with us. Good to be with you. When we come back, how a former White House press secretary and now cable news host almost missed her big break. Next.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
In ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to cbnnewschannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on The Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
Welcome back. From a ranch in Wyoming to the White House and beyond, Fox News host Dana Perino can be seen as a picture of success. But she almost missed out on her first big break. My Faith Nation co-anchor Jenna Browder found out why in a recent interview about her new book called Everything Will Be Okay.
Professionally, you could say Dana Perino has done it all. And now in her new book that's geared toward young women, she's showing how you can too with some great advice.
She is
Dana Perino. You probably know her best from Fox News, where she was just named co-anchor of America's Newsroom.
I had no idea how much I would love doing this show with Bill Hemmer. I love the news. I'm actually very awake naturally in the mornings. Like I wake up ready to go. Like I don't need any warm-up time. He is such a generous colleague. He's kind. He's thoughtful. He's smart. We have so much fun in the mornings. And he asked me a couple of weeks ago, do you like the show? I said, I love the show. He said, when did you know that you would like the show? I said, after the first A block, 9:21 on our first day, I was like, I love it. I love it.
Dana also co-hosts The Five each evening.
I just feel a real renewed energy in my career, and I'm really grateful for that. At this point in your life, you think, well, what's next? What am I going to do? Maybe I've reached the top of my career, but no, yet there was another twist and a turn just as this book was coming out, and I thought, well, gosh, I'm going to have to reread that to get my own advice.
And it's chock full of it. Everything Will Be Okay. Life lessons for young women from a former young woman. Her story and what she's learned along the way. From Wyoming and Colorado, where she was raised, to the White House, where she became press secretary for President George W. Bush, a role Dana almost forfeited.
So I go to the White House that Monday. I'm very nervous because I don't really want to leave the White House, but my husband and I made this decision. I thought it was a good decision. And I see Ed Gillespie, the communications director, and I said, hi, can I talk to you and see you after this morning's meeting? He said, yes, I need to talk to you too. Okay, great. I was so nervous, like that feeling of nerves from your toes all the way up through your chest, and I couldn't breathe. Meeting ends, and Ed says, Dana, can you stay? I said, sure. So I stay. And I sit down, and as people are filing out, I went to blurt out my news. And he said, hey, do you mind if I go first? And I said, oh, sure. And he said, so the president would like to name you as press secretary on Friday. And I said, great, wonderful. What do I need to do to help us get ready or something like that?
She says she wonders what would have happened had she gone first in that conversation.
It's just another example of God's grace and trusting that he has the plan. You don't have to plan. You can stop planning. Now you can have goals. You can work very hard. You can make assignments for yourself for how you want to improve and learn more about things and be a better writer and add more reading and go to bed early and like really try to take care of yourself, because that's a really important decision. But the truth is that everything is okay because everything is in his hands. That's how I see it.
Throughout the book, Dana talks about the important role faith plays in her life. Love, too. She says marrying her husband, Peter, was one of the best decisions of her life.
I met him on an airplane when I was 25. That's like a whole great love story. And my career has really been enhanced because of him. And one of my favorite pieces of advice in the book is choosing to be loved is not a career limiting decision. That you can make a commitment. Your career will not suffer because you choose that loving relationship in your life.
Her passion for mentoring led Dana to write the book.
I love working. I love my job. I love all these opportunities that I've had. But I feel like at this point, one of the most rewarding things about working is helping younger people achieve their goals. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that.
2 words she uses throughout the book, joy and serenity.
Finding serenity is just so important to me. And I really think that it has helped me be something that a friend recently called me. Leo Terrell, I don't know if you recognize his name. He's on Fox News a lot. He's out in California. He said, you are so energetically calm. I thought, oh, I think maybe I've made it, because that's how I really want to be. And I want to help others try to get to that point too.
And we should mention Dana dedicates the book to her mom, who she says was the first person to ever tell her that everything will be okay. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Thanks, Jenna. Up next, a better way to manage time? When we come back, we'll tell you about a push to permanently do away with daylight savings and the potential benefits it could bring.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Finally tonight, most of us exchanged an hour of sleep for longer evenings with daylight savings, but what if we didn't have to go through that seasonal ritual anymore? One member of Congress is pushing what's called the Sunshine Protection Act, which would make daylight savings permanent, and it has bipartisan support. Among the expected benefits, fewer car accidents, less seasonal depression, and more stability for families throughout the year. The Sunshine Protection Act, sponsored by Senator Marco Rubio, is supported by 5 Republicans and 3 Democratic senators. Currently, Hawaii and Arizona are the only states that do not participate in the time change, but we are expected to have longer, brighter, sunnier days in sight for us all. Well, thank you so much for watching Faith Nation. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow.